We have a group called Tracing Demo, and we have APIM management service, and we have service bus connector, we have Azure function here, we have application insights instance, we have a logic app standard, it's a stateful workflow, and two storage accounts that is serving as a storage for configuration of logic app standard and Azure function. And everything begins with Azure API management. I connected Azure function to the API management, and with this test execution, I'm just sending a request to the backend. And as you can see, I'm receiving the response from the backend with correlation ID. Let us switch to the design and switch to APIM to service bus. So we have a policies here, policies that will set header custom correlation ID, and we will generate a new GUID and convert it to string. If I will click discard here and just open this policy, it can be made the base policy or anything you want. The next important part here is to have settings configured. Settings configured, I mean section of diagnostics logs. Here you need to select a destination application insights instance. Set the sampling, I set 100% for this demo. And most important part, you need to decide how you would track this header. So I'm sending this header to the backend, to the Azure function, so I added just tracing of backend request and headers to log. So I would have this header right here. So here is this request header, cast correlation ID. And so this is the things that needs to be configured on the APIM side. Yes, you can create some basic policies, global policies, and etc., but just be aware where it's configured. Then we switch into the #6 function with HTTP trigger and without authentication, and output trigger for service bus message queue. Here I'm getting the query name. It's not important. Most important it's to get a header custom correlation ID and to log this header to application insights via iLogger interface. Application insights, it's a most simple scenario and it's most easiest to get. This is why we're using it everywhere. So it's easy to connect any service to the application insights, and it's easy to log everything. So I'm using iLogger here and just logging this correlation ID. You can see APIM request with cast correlation ID received. And also, as you can see, if there was correlation ID sent, then it's returned awk object result with this correlation ID. Bus namespace. I'm using queue for these purposes. It can be anything. It can be topic, but both Azure function and logic app standard is connected to this queue. Everything is connected to this queue. And we're pushing the message from Azure function to tracing queue, and then we're subscribing to this message with logic app standard. So with logic app standard, we are using a standard trigger to subscribe and complete message. We're receiving this message, and most important part on the step 1 is to set client tracking ID. We're setting custom client tracking ID with a special combination of command. And as a result, we're getting this client tracking ID that we can observe at several steps during execution of logic app standard. If we would have search here, as you can see in these traces, this client tracking ID is recorded. Also using step compose, but step compose is just for demo purposes. It's not really needed because a client tracking ID is set at message received trigger of logic app standard. So if you will switch to the settings, we will see that there is a tracking property with custom tracking ID, and in this custom tracking ID, I'm getting the message body and getting from this object custom correlation ID value. If we will have a code view, it's quite simple. It's just a trigger for the Azure Service Bus queue, and setting of the client tracking ID here. So it is super easy to chain execution of different services. And as you can see, we can send a request again, and we received a new correlation ID here. Back to the transaction search, enter it here, and get entire stack of the call. As you can see, with service bus logic app, yes, over here, we have this GUID, and we have this set of tracing for this GUID over here. So it started with API management, then it's Azure function, then it traces from the logic app standard. And as I mentioned, with logic app standard, you can just search output or client tracking ID value. All these traces is connected to the logic app standard. So it's super straightforward. It goes the same way if you need to trace some operation from the logic app standard back to the service bus and back to the APIM. It's also done with headers between API management and Azure function, and it's done with help of transforming the message body from the Azure service bus. So you can read the headers with logic app standard, or you can read message from Azure service bus. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe for more content, get article details on my Medium blog, also get code samples from my GitHub. So see you next time. Cheers.